J.J. Yeley, thanks for sitting down with TalkToDrivers.com.
Thank you for having me.
How did you get your start in racing?
I got my start in racing from my dad. My dad's a 7-time Arizona midget champion, and I started racing full-size midgets at the age of 14. I probably had 400 laps before I ever made my very first race in Canyon Raceway. He probably would never put me on a racetrack, being that young, unless he felt comfortable with my ability. I think my very first race actually was 7th. So, he got me started in this, and don't blame him for putting me here now.
What has been your most amusing, embarrassing moment in racing today?
Well, there's probably been a few of them. I guess probably they run together. There was a couple years ago I'd won an Indiana Sprint Week race in Lima Land, Ohio. Won the race. Tried to do a victory donut. Unfortunately, I had my car set a little bit too tight and hit the tacky stuff on the bottom of the front straightaway and flipped the car and landed on my lid. So I think I won an award from Speed for doing that, but I don't remember that happening before or since then. So I guess that's going to be my crowning achievement for something doing like that.
At Terre Haute one year, you started 12th and were leading coming out of turn 2. How did you do that?
I passed 11 guys in front of me. You just have to think about a lot of things you do when you go to these racetracks. And unfortunately for me, when you go to Terre Haute, everyone seems to want to go to the bottom on the start. So after running around under caution, the top groove rolls in. It's going to be good for a lap or two. When you start 12, you don't have much to lose anyway. So through the green, I went to the outside, and everyone fought for the bottom. And by the time I got off from turn 2, I ran out of cars to pass. So we had a really dominant car that race anyway. I think we won by almost a half a lap in Gary Stanton's sprint car back then. So it was definitely one of those races that was a lot of fun, because something like that doesn't generally happen.
Of the old school drivers, who would you like to compete against? Name at least 3.
Name at least 3. For me, I would say obviously AJ Foyt, because he's always been a hero of mine. He is he used to be the highest victories in USAC until I got to break his record. But he got to do things in the race car that no one else used to even think about doing. Rich Vogler was always one of those guys that gave it 100% every time he was on the racetrack. And it's unfortunate he lost his life racing, but there's a lot of good drivers that have. A third one, man, it'd be tough. But it would be hard for me to pick someone. For me, even though I'm a younger guy, I look and I really respected what the drivers did back in the 50s and 60s, and I know that's when a lot of really good race car drivers lost their lives. So, it'd be interesting to see a guy like Hurtubise or, some of the greats, how they would do in race cars now, where, we've got all the safety equipment, we've got these big tires in the back versus the little narrow tires I used to have, and, full helmets and everything. That was real racing back then. So, anyone back in the old days would be someone that I like racing against.
When your NASCAR career is over, do you hope to return to sprint cars and midgets racing full time?
Yeah, I do. This is regardless of whatever happens in my career, dirt racing, if it's midgets or sprint cars, is always going to be my first love. I've spent so much time racing them. This is how I learned how to race. It's how I learned how to work on race cars. I take a lot of pride in the cars that I have, the cars that I get to race, and I'm always thinking and I have a problem with trying to over-engineer anything that's stock that anyone else gets to race. So, other than just the fun that I have driving race cars, I really enjoy thinking about how I can take my race car and make it better, and also working on the same time.
How did it feel to win the Triple Crown?
It was awesome. Obviously there's not too many. Me and Tony being the only 2 guys that get it done in one season, and I think there's now 5 of us total that have completed the task in the 55 or whatever years that USAC's been in existence. But for me, in 2002, I won 2 championships and lost the 3rd by only 13 points. I knew at that point it was something that was definitely achievable without having to have a lot of luck to get it done. So, no matter what happens in my life, I've been lucky enough to participate in the Indianapolis 500, the Daytona 500, but winning all those races and winning 3 championships in USAC is something that I will always cherish.
Do you have a favorite racetrack?
Yeah, ones that are old. I'm not real particular, For me, Ventura Raceway was always one of my favorite racetracks, and it still is. Unfortunately, I don't get to race there very often. but then it could go on to a place like Manzanita Speedway or even going to Eldora. So, there's not too many racetracks that I don't look forward to going to because, I'm a racer. I just want to go drive a race car wherever it is, and it doesn't matter if it's a racetrack that can fit in a shoebox or it's a racetrack that's going to be a mile long.
Why did you start Triple Crown Racing?
I started Triple Crown Racing just to try to give a young guy the same opportunities that I got. I raced for my parents, and they did a very good job, but they sacrificed a lot to make sure that we could still go race. There's a lot of very, very good race car drivers out there that race for their families that, they work really hard to scrape enough money together so they can go to the racetrack. And it may not be the best equipment, but they're still able to win races and be competitive. And, luckily for me in the last couple of years, I've been in a financial situation I can try to do something, and we'll see how things continue to play out. But it would be really nice to try to give back. And Tony's really started. Tony Stewart, he owns a lot of different teams, and he helped launch me from the weekly USAC stuff to where I got a chance to race in NASCAR. And hopefully I can try to do the same thing for some other youngsters.
What do you think of all the kids in racing today?
It's really different, especially coming back. There's still a lot of very talented race car drivers, but for me, I'm a little bit disappointed from the fact that, I guess there's a lot of kids out here that may not, that are good race car drivers that just don't have the desire that you really need to have when you go racing this level. And, they're getting, if it's a matter of running for a team that has a lot of money or if it's a family-owned operation that has a lot of money. But, sometimes you wish that some of these kids had a little bit more respect for the other guys on the racetrack or even their own equipment. They wreck a car and they go sit in the trailer, go play video games, and they unload another car out of the trailer. And if you get to learn how to race like I had to, you had to finish every week in order to make enough money you could go race the next week. And, sometimes it's hard to teach kids respect.
Who has taught you the most in racing about racing? Who has taught you the most in racing about racing?
My dad, I'm pretty sure he taught me everything that he knew. And because I love this sport so much, I spend a lot of time listening to everyone I can. Anytime I come up with an idea, I'll bounce it off something great. I talk to Gary Stanton a lot because, he was an innovative guy back in the day. And, the only way you can figure out if something's going to work is if you try it. So I spend a lot of time doing R&D and testing and doing things that are a little off the wall. And nothing gives you a better feeling when you go to the racetrack and you have something no one else has. They all tell you that you're crazy and you go out there and kick their butt with.
What do you do for relaxation, non-racing related?
Non-racing related, it's, I spend a lot of time with my family. Try to spend as much time as I can with my daughter. She's 3.5 now, and she, I don't know if it's relaxing because she seems to wear me out, but, I try to play golf, and that's more frustrating than any other sport in the world. I don't know what even plays it, and I don't know why I continue to go do it, but, just spend time with the family and hit golf balls, I guess.
What do you hope your 09 season holds for you?
No matter what happens in 09, it's got to be better than 08. 08 was about the toughest year I've ever had racing, and sometimes I guess you need to be knocked back a little bit to brought back down to reality, which I don't know that I could understand that more now than I ever have in my life. But I'm still working on some things that will hopefully propel me back into the NASCAR ranks to where we can compete in the Cup level or even the Nationwide Series. But regardless, I'm a race car driver. This is my first love. This is the thing that I do the best. So no matter what happens, I'll be driving a race car somewhere.
JJ Yeley, thanks for sitting down and talking to drivers.com.
Thank you.